Alrighty. I was doing a little bit of thinking, and before we go into actually playing Tic Tac Toe, I wanted to change this draw X. Instead of making a draw X and a draw O, I think I am actually going to make it a draw symbol. Just because I was thinking a little bit, and I think having two functions that do the exact same thing without having inheritance in our back pocket, which is another thing that you would learn in a later programming class, is not really the best practice. And then also, I was thinking, oh wait, we could actually like make something pretty cool, I think, if we did this as symbols instead of just X's and O's. So we're going to make a draw symbol in this video and then show an example of like why that's actually kind of neat. So instead of where draw X only needed the X, the Y, and the board, we're also going to need the symbol that they're going to draw. And then here, when you actually print the thing to the board, we will, instead of putting an X in, we'll put the symbol. And the only other thing that we need to do here is, well, here, let's just see how this works first. So down over here where we drew the two X's, I'm going to switch it from draw X to now what we have, which is draw symbol. So I'll say draw symbol and draw symbol. And then if I just make it an X, it should draw an X to it, right? If I make it a lowercase x, it should draw a lowercase x to it. So we try running this now. Run it. We'll make it a 5x5 board. And at 5, 3, it drew a capital X. And at 2, 2, it drew that lowercase x. And then this way, you can just make X's or O's as if everything is the same. And you've got that, right? So, that's like nice. It's just one function that can draw both the X's and the O's for us. But then here's where I really got the idea that I wanted to use draw symbol, is because making only draw X and draw O function, it really limits this program to being just a tic-tac-toe program. But we can do so much more with this. So I'm just going to check super quick, because actually I'm not sure about this. So chessboard, squares. How many squares are on a chessboard? 64. So that means it's 8x8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. All right. Chessboard is 8x8. So what we can do, which I think is pretty cool, is using a bunch of draw symbols, and we might even make a function. Actually, that's what we're going to do. Yay, I like it. Okay. So what we can do is we can set up a chessboard for people to play on. So this is more, we're getting higher than tic-tac-toe, though we will limit it back to tic-tac-toe and then we'll continue from there. But just so your imagination can get kind of running, just by changing this to a symbol, you could really start making this tic-tac-toe board into a full-blown chessboard. So instead, I'm going to make this, I'm going to start making a chessboard. So... Oh, I mean, whatever. Let's just do it. Actually, I think I'm pretty excited. So here was my main program down here. But actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a whole new function. Oh, yes, okay. I'm going to make a whole new function that will just draw a full chessboard for us. So instead of doing it in the main program where I create the board there and ask them for the size and then I ask them to place the pieces, we're just going to make a def chessboard function, and it has no input, because when you say, maybe we'll call it create chessboard, a chessboard is built there's an issue with this, but don't worry, a chessboard is built just kind of automatically by it, right? It has a set way of being set up. So we'll create the chessboard, and then we're just going to start going. So I'm going to basically take what I have here, and no, I'm just going to say chessboard equals create board, and we're going to pass it 8 because we know that a chessboard is size 8x8. And so now in here, if I try printing the chessboard, and we're going to get rid of all this stuff here. Oh, and we're going to create a chessboard by calling the function here. we should see an 8. Oh, sorry. We cannot use print chessboard. We have to use our function that we made to print it the right way, right? Print board. So instead of print chessboard, we're going to say print board chessboard. So that way it won't print out in just a line just showing the data that's inside of the double list, but instead it'll print it out as our 8x8 board. And now before I print the board, inside of this function, we can start setting up all the chess pieces. So at 1, 1, that'll be the back right corner. I'm going to say, what is it? Oh, yes. I'm going to say, draw symbol at 1, 1 on the chessboard, and we're going to make it an R because in the top corner you have a rook. And so now, if I print that, there's my rook. And then after the rook, it's the knight. So we're just going to copy that to save us some time. What am I doing? Okay. At 2, 1, we're going to put a knight. Oh. This is one of the issues. So originally when I said there was going to be an issue with the chessboard is that I have like player 1 pieces and player 2 pieces, but if I make this an R1, then run it, it's now my numbers aren't going to match up because the spaces, it's only one space or however many spaces we determined in the previous video between. But if I put R1 and then maybe I put a KN1 for knight 1 because we have a knight and a king, now my numbers don't match up at all with my spaces, and that's kind of a big issue. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. For a knight, I'll put a G because it's like NIGHT, maybe. We're doing it live. We're still going. So rook, knight, bishop, queen, and then king. Maybe this isn't the best idea. Well, whatever. Okay. I mean, maybe the chessboard is wrong, but I just want to make a point of like, just making one little change can totally change the entire thing and make your program be able to do something like pretty cool. Let's see. And then another knight, and then we're going to end on a rook. So this should be the back line of one player's board on a chessboard. Maybe the king and queen are opposite. I'm not really 100% sure. And we have a G for a knight. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll make an H because it is a horsey, usually. Knights are usually shown as horsies. So if I try running it now... What? So I put all of these coordinates at 1, 1. So it just like was changing this from R to B to Q, K, B, H, and then R again. So it ended. We need to go to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What am I doing? 7. And 8. And now we'll make the entire back part of my chessboard here, which is pretty cool, right? Like it can be more than just a tic-tac-toe board is what I'm saying, just by allowing us to draw any symbol we want here instead of forcing it to an X or an O. And I kind of want to be a little bit smart about this second row where I'm just putting pawn everywhere. And, like you can be smart by doing, instead of just printing out 8 times, I can make a for loop, which should say for, whatever, I in chessboard at 1 dot, or the length of chessboard at 1. Then we're going to draw symbol starting at I, and then also 2 because we know it has to be the second row. And we're just going to print a pawn there. And this should now, or place a pawn there. This should now just fill up my second row with pawns. Int object is not iteratable. But chessboard at 1 is a list. In range. Right. You can't just give a for loop a number. You need to say in range and then put the number in there. There we go. And we put all our pawns in. Oh, we're going to do +1 so that it prints the last pawn. Ah, hold on. We're going to start with I +1 over here. Huh? Because that starts at 0. Okay, yes. If that starts at 0, so now I'm going to start it at 1 and then go to the length and then it'll hit 8, right? Yes, it works with no invalid input from our own internal error that we saw. Cool. So we made that board. And then once you've created the chessboard here, you could maybe, start playing around and be like, all right, well, I'm going to move this pawn in front of my king forward too. I feel like the king maybe should be over there, right? And then you can create other functions that would move pawns and move knights and all that other good stuff. There is one other issue, and then that'll be it for this video. It's kind of like a weird full tangent video, but, those are fine sometimes. The one thing that I did notice is that if we try to put in, like, rook or horsey, it's going to destroy my board, right? So making it a symbol does allow the user to kind of break our board quite a bit. So what we should try to do is make sure that symbol will only run under the circumstances that we're allowing it to run, right? So right now, we have not set up a way for us to handle anything more than size 1 inside of our board, right? It just freaks out. Now I have rook taking up spaces 1, 2, 3, horsey taking up 3 through 7, and everything looks messed up. So we should fix our DrawSymbol function to say, hey, first we're going to make sure that, the X and Y coordinates are good, so it's being placed on the board, which we saw before actually checked that when we messed up our for loop. But then also, we want to make sure that before, so now, we're in the else, meaning, all right, it's at a good location. But before we actually go and place the thing on the board, let's make sure that the symbol is only 1 character long. So we're going to say if the symbol, or if the length of the symbol is equal to 1, then we will put the symbol on the board. If it's not exactly equal to 1, we're going to say print only single character symbols. And so now what will happen is this should allow us to draw any symbol we want onto our board, which means we could play we could play all sorts of games now, actually, that we've created this one tiny change to our DrawSymbol function. But it will result in, when we try to put a rook or a horsey in there, it's just going to say only single characters, only single character symbols, and it will not print rook or horsey. It's not going to allow any multi-character symbols in there so that our board won't get messed up. Excuse me, sorry, allergy season's coming up. Okay, I didn't end up sneezing. So I think that's it for this video. Totally side video. Next video we'll get back on to actually making a functional Tic Tac Toe game. But this makes me feel like maybe this can be, instead of the Tic Tac Toe program, this can be like our board game program. And we can play checkers, or we can play Tic Tac Toe, or we can have a version where it's setting up the turtle game, right? And we can have a full big program that has like a create chessboard and a create Tic Tac Toe board and different modes or whatever. Maybe we'll do that, maybe we won't. Either way, that's the end of the video. I feel like this is a pretty easy one for you guys this week, or this Wednesday.